All right. Presented by Under Armour and Sleeper Fantasy. Welcome to Light Years. Andy, Lou, All-Star Weekend is over. Warriors will be back in a few days post All-Star break. We got a special guest for you on the next episode.
Yes.
It's my little teaser there. Honestly, I think we all agree how the All-Star Weekend went, but I have one take. One fucking take regarding All-Star.
Okay.
Not only is this league dependent on the Bay Area, they have nothing outside of the Bay Area. Zero. Zilch.
Wow.
Steph Curry and Sabrina carried All-Star Weekend. That's two Bay Area legends right there.
Yeah.
LeBron's up here lying about, I didn't even know what the Warriors think, because the only thing that resonates noise is him talking about the Bay Area, because no one gives a fuck about the Lakers. Here's about LA, anything they got going on. The only thing you can sell is the Warriors. And then the only highlight of the actual All-Star game was Charles Barkley talking trash about San Francisco. And it's nothing you or I haven't heard him say or a bunch of people say for decades, whatever, period of time. But that's all they got. You know what people did not talk about? Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Talk about Jaylen Brown in the dunking contest, the dunk contest, and anything else. All-Star Weekend. Podz probably made more noise in the Rising Stars game than anything else. Honestly, the Warriors, the Bay Area is carrying this league.
Wow.
And right now, they're negotiating for rights, and you know what they're doing? They're wondering which Bay Area Silicon Valley company wants to give them streaming rights.
Oh, boy. Wow. I did not know you were going to come this hard. Pause. I did not know you were going to come out this strong on this podcast. Wow, that was incredible. Where do we begin? Wow. So statistically, it was proven that Steph and Sabrina stole the show of All-Star Weekend, right? Statistically, that was the show. And we found out after that Adam Silver didn't come up with that idea. It turns out that it was Steph and Sabrina's idea, and they just brought it to the NBA. And now that's going to be a staple. It seems like they're going to do that again next Bay Area, because the All-Star game's next year in the Bay Area, and they're going to bring that back along with maybe Damian Lillard, who's from the Bay Area, from Oakland, Caitlin Clark, who's like the greatest women's player ever.
Charles Barkley and Fox News and all them just walking around the streets trying to figure out where it's going, where the crime is.
I'm confused with Charles, because I feel like he's trying to be funny, because that's the point of Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
But I feel like everyone's been saying the same thing for a few years now. So it's like, are you trying to say something that's different from anyone else, or are you? I mean, because we've all heard the jokes. We've all been downtown. It's obviously not great, but it's obviously not that bad. So what's the point?
I mean, if we want to have an honest conversation about San Francisco, we'd be talking about how there's like a public health crisis with homelessness and drug use. But, instead he's like, oh, I got to wear a bulletproof vest. I'm like, come on, man. Come on. Statistically, I mean, it's
bulletproof vest is insane.
There's a lot of issues in San Francisco, but gun violence is nowhere near the top of the list. Not that this is the podcast for that topic, but my whole thing is look, man, Chuck's 60. He's from rural Alabama. He's hilarious, but I don't define the Bay Area's self-worth by Charles Barkley said,
good point.
Yeah,
good point.
I don't care in any capacity. I think he's funny. I think he doesn't really know what he's talking about in that capacity. It is what it is.
Could the NBA do, and we talk about this a lot though, could they do a better job marketing a lot of this? Because you saw Kenny Smith, who sounded also, Chuck-esque, where he's just, during the and the comments make a good point. The thing about Chuck is he's a lot funnier than Kenny Smith. felt like with Kenny Smith during Sabrina's shooting contest, it was like, are you just really angry about something that we don't know about? Because he's not funny. I generally don't really know what Kenny Smith's thing is. Chuck and Shaq, they're really funny. They play off each other really well. But I always feels like the NBA could do a better job marketing a lot of this. Not like the players are giving them great stuff to market this weekend, but man, I don't know. It'd be great if they enjoyed the game more.
Yeah, I had less of an issue with the way it was broadcast this weekend because they kept like trying to sell it, and then you watch a dunk contest involving mostly non-NBA players.
Did you watch it? Did you watch the dunk contest?
I mean, I was obviously hyped for the 3-point contest and Steph and Sabrina, and that lived up. And it came on after, you know.
Sure.
And I wasn't doing anything. Like, I'm a little congested.
It's like how CSI comes on after Super Bowl, so people just watch that.
Yeah, exactly. It's CSI Miami. Let's go. You know, like that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like if you solve the issue with the game itself, when you start talking about the broadcast, that means you're just looking. It's kind of like a Cope take. You know what I mean? Like where it's like, you know, why don't they celebrate the game more? I'm like, what the fuck do you want them to celebrate? What about what you watched today do you want them to celebrate? You know,
211 to 186.
The entire pregame, and I was watching part of it while I was doing my workout, and they're just talking about how like we need a competitive game, we need to see guys going, let's compete, that sort of thing. Like they're trying to do like the like encourage guys to have pride thing. And then you watch it. It just looked like a worse version of every other All-Star game we've seen the last half decade, where it's just kind of like I'm pulling from 30 and I might make it because I can, but you're certainly not even going to put your hand up. And
it's hard.
It's like
it's like with Steph kind of joining the 3-point contest and doing it repeatedly, despite the fact that he's lost some. But he's the leader, right? He's the greatest 3-point shooter of all time. So if Steph's going to do it, then guys like Dame are going to do it. Guys like Trae Young are going to do it. Guys like all these great 3-point shooters are going to do it.
Devin Booker,
Booker.
Like all like the who's who of guys we think are damn good shooters.
So if we don't see that in the dunk contest, which obviously we haven't, the All-Star game requires these guys to try really hard. And nobody in the All-Star game tries hard. Right? You kind of need someone. I mean, I'm just throwing a name out there. Like you need like an Anthony Edwards to like come out here and just be like, all right, I'm gonna go fucking
Zion.
Right.
LeBron.
LeBron, right? Like just come out here and like just say, hey, I'm gonna clamp this dude up. I'm gonna make this thing, you know, about pride. And I don't know. I feel like we do this every year and things aren't gonna change. It's kind of sad because the NBA has this problem in the regular season. 82 games. We only get them to try hard, maybe 15 of them. And so I don't know. It's really
every time you play Steph Curry. Yeah.
I've had multiple people that cover the NBA and have covered them for a long time tell me like, hey, like, is the game just not as popular anymore? They ask me, they're like, hey, like, what's your feel? Because I've tweeted about this a lot. They're like, because we feel like the reporters that have been around teams, they're like, hey, man, we just don't feel that these players care and that people are going to care about these players 5 years from now. They genuinely ask that. It's like after, and these guys are covering LeBron, and they're like, hey, like after LeBron, after Steph, are people going to care about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? Are people going to care about Luka Doncic? Does Nikola Jokic even care about the NBA? And I don't know, it's a little sad. Is the NBA, the All-Star weekend feels like a like
it should be a celebration. By the way, just so you like, look, you do know All-Star is the highest rated game of the regular season.
Oh wow!
So when they sell the package, like it's All-Star and Christmas, those are the big like you're paying a lot of money. These are like we understand Tuesday, January 12th, like that might be a filler game on the schedule, but you're paying for this to get that big All-Star and that big Christmas game. It's a bad look for the league, but I don't know. Here's where I'm at on it. It starts with leadership, and honestly, you know what moves people? It's the same thing that moves you and me, Andy. It's seeing yourself lose money. So let's see if the league starts going in the opposite direction financially. I guarantee you Shea is going to start D'ing guys up at the half court line if they start losing money. It's funny, but it's like I think it's really that simple. Once people feel like, oh, we're actually going to lose something if we don't do this, that's where you get guys putting a little more pride into it, right? So
what do you said something about the TV rights and what they're negotiating? How does that impact any of this?
that's
Like, is that
that's the biggest source of money the league has. So whatever the last TV deal is why salaries ballooned from, like, do you remember what LeBron signed with the Miami Heat for?
no, how much?
14 a year, which is
Jorge Soler money, baby.
That's a mid-level exception now. That's Clay's next contract.
Okay, okay.
But like that's what Dante DiVincenzo got in the free agency market.
Right.
And what I'm saying is, that was a max contract in 2010. Now his max contract is, 4 times that, right? Or 3 times that, something like that. So what I'm saying is, like, when the money, I'm not saying the NBA is going to look like baseball where dudes are like begging for money and no one's signing them. And even though camp's starting, but I do think, and this is where I'll turn it back to the Warriors, Joe Lacob, and part of it, Joe is a showman, but it did come out that the cap is going down 1 million based off projections next year. Whether it does or it doesn't, we'll see. But they've been on a steady 8 to 10% growth trajectory every year. So when you start hearing, oh, we're not hitting it, we're going the other way. Are they all going to be rich? Yes. But that's the sort of stuff where people start going, okay, if we don't hold up our end of the bargain, it might not be for eternity. Because you know how it is. Like, you work at a startup, I've worked at startups, like, you start thinking like it's endless. Like, it's just always going to come, always at all times. And I think that's kind of going to be the turning point for the NBA when guys start feeling like, okay, if we don't start like doing a little extra, then money's going to start turning the other way. Then that's when, maybe Cat's not taking 50 footers all game, or Luka. Did Luka even cross half court?
Luka and Jokic were the worst ones. I mean, they obviously love each other.
Yeah.
But just terrible. Just what do we do? Mm-hmm. I mean, I know I make fun of Shea, but he actually played pretty well. I mean, everybody plays well in All-Star game, but like Luka and Jokic, at least, I mean, show some respect for the game. Like, what are we doing? Come on, you guys are two of the top 5 players in the freaking world, and you guys are acting like this stuff is beneath you, and maybe it is, but geez Louise, man, I don't know. I said this the other day. It's just like, I don't know. Do NBA stars care about us? Do they care about fans? Because it certainly doesn't feel like they give a shit about fans 98% of the time, and that's hard for NBA. It's hard for NBA fans that watch the games. I think the younger generation that don't watch the games and maybe they just look on IG reels about what happens, I think they generally don't care. But for people like, I don't know, you and I think that's a large majority of our friends who watch games, it's a little sad.
And the light years listeners,
the goons, it's a little sad that, I don't know, they just don't care about people. I don't know. I'm not even trying to make fun of people. I'm just saying it's kind of sad, is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, well, let's pivot to a more fun topic, which is like, right, what was the highlight of the weekend? The highlight of the weekend was clearly Steph or Sabrina. By the way, shout out Sabrina, Miramani legend, 26, pretty impressive. I wasn't sure how she was going to do just because it's like, it's one time. I know she can shoot, but like, you get nerves, you miss a couple, it spirals, and the complete opposite happened. She put up a performance comparable to like Dame, Trey, all those guys, right? And then Steph. Were you nervous Steph wasn't going to hit top?
Well, he missed a few. And I was a little nervous. But honestly, if he lost, I thought it would have been cool too. The coolest part about it is it was actually a thing we've never seen before. We spent, I don't know, the first 20 minutes of this podcast kind of talking about what sucked, and this thing being so cool, regardless of if Steph lost, makes it so that I think people tune in again and again. It attracts new viewers. It attracts people that I think don't normally care about this stuff to watch the game. The one thing I thought was super, super cool though is Sabrina shot from the NBA line, and I don't think it mattered.
Yeah.
It just did not matter. She was stroking it from that far. Steph 29, and he finished it with like 3 seconds left on the clock, which pretty much tells me that guy is so much further and better than everybody else at shooting in the entire world. It's insane.
He's a better shooter than he was the year he set the record.
Yeah.
Like it's like a calmness. I don't know. He's another level. Like I don't really get worried that he'll miss ever in any capacity and something like that. So it's like you celebrate it. But like my favorite part of Steph there is kind of the secureness.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty easy to be like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to risk that. I don't want to lose the girl, that sort of thing, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's confident. And like I feel like the thing Steph has done that I don't know that anyone else has done is he has made the game more accessible for people who maybe didn't think they could play basketball. And it's like, obviously he's done a ton for the women's game, but he's also done a ton for like, I don't know, Andy, how tall, like how old were you when you realized you were never going to be a pro athlete?
Probably at the end of middle school.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to say 12, 13,
well, I don't know what age that is. What age is that?
13. Yeah. Boys are delusional. Like honestly, all things equal, probably should have realized it at like 5th grade, but you're like that age and you're like, oh, okay, well, I'm tall, but I'm not that tall. Yeah, it's probably not, I'm not that fast. It's probably not going to happen, that sort of thing. And what Steph did more than anyone is kind of show people like, if you work on skill, you could be a pretty impactful player, right? Right. So
that's the part about when they talked about if whether you're a boy or whether you're a girl, you could do this. To me, it was like, yeah, pretty much they make you feel like you can play at that level no matter what. I was listening to the our guy friend of the show was, and they were doing a live show in Indiana, and they were talking about how white American basketball players, they don't play basketball anymore. But then you watch like Luka and Jokic, and they're like, well, those guys aren't athletic. They make you want to play. They make you think like you can play in the NBA, and that's kind of the same thing with Steph, and kind of the same thing with girls and Sabrina. It's just like, dude, like you don't have to be the biggest dude. I mean, obviously these guys are the most skilled players of all time, but you don't have to be LeBron. You don't have to be LeBron. You don't need to be 6'8" and the craziest athlete in history. You don't have to.
And like the odds you're ever gonna perfect shooting to be a pro are also like very 1%, but it's far more attainable than like, hey, Andy, you're going to be 6'9" and have a 40-inch vert. Like, probably not.
You know that quick, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, to be able to, but everybody's gotten hot. Like everybody's just made like 3 threes in a row, and you're just like, okay.
And again, it's a skill thing. It's like, again, no matter how many reps I take in like a batting cage, I'm probably not gonna be a pro baseball player, but it's a skill thing. If I work at it, or like golf is probably the most obvious one. Everyone who's played golf is like, if I just keep working at it, I can figure this out. Well, odds are you're never going to be Tiger, buddy, but skill is like far more attainable than like, I don't know, like what do I need to eat to grow 7 inches? Because it's not happening, So
yeah.
I don't know. It was fun. It's cool. And they're definitely doing it next year when All-Star comes to San Francisco.
It would be nice to do like a tag team type of thing.
Does it sound like that's what's happening? It's not like Caitlin Clark's gonna go to the WNBA next year.
She gonna be number one pick.
Yeah. Sorry, it's not. She's
better than Sabrina.
Yeah, as a shooter for sure.
Wow.
And they're gonna lean into it. Sabrina's actually more of like a triple double player than like a shooter, which is the irony. More of a that was her whole thing. Like she averaged like close to triple double in college. But then
it's all white girls now. That's crazy. Yeah, Cam Brink, Stanford. I don't know. Every time I Angel Reese, I guess there's Angel Reese. I'm like, damn, man, WNBA crazy.
Yeah. Anyway, I do think it's a fun way to incorporate the WNBA because like shooting is one of those things where it's like it's not about muscularity, it's not about skill. No one wants to play against in that sort of. But like I don't know. It's like any other skill competition, like golf. It's like pool. It's like whatever. It's like it doesn't matter gender. Just do it.
Which is I think the difference between the 3-point contest and the dunk contest because people complain about the dunk contest and people are like, well, there's only so many dunks left. Right. With the 3-pointer, it's like, well, there's no 3-pointer isn't fancy. You just shoot that thing. You know what I mean? You just shoot that thing.
It's like home run. It's like a home run derby. It's like,
which is always great.
Every now and then you see one, you're like, that's a little farther than normal, but it's like ultimately like boom, boom, boom. Like, oh damn, that dude just fucking rocking them.
Inherently, that's kind of the home run derby is always. I mean, to me, I always watch the home run derby. I know sometimes it gets a little like whatever, but I love the home run derby. I mean, football's All-Star Pro Bowl weekend sucks too. So like really the best
they stopped pretending.
Yeah, flag football now. I the other day I watched because I was bored. I'm watching it 2 weeks ago and I'm like, what is this? So basically throughout all three sports, it's just a 3-point contest and the home run derby, right? Everything else is pretty bad. I don't know, maybe basketball should do the in baseball, the winner gets home court or home field in the World Series. So I don't know, maybe they could do that for East and West, and Game 7 matters if it's the West. The West today lost by 20, and they had pretty much one of the greatest assembled team of all time. I mean, they had Steph, KD, LeBron, AD.
Cat having 50 in a loss is perfect.
Yeah, Draymond said that.
Yeah,
Draymond's a goon. What was he on this weekend? Nobody will know.
Let's pay some bills.
All right. This week's Light Years podcast brought to you by Under Armour. Steph Curry makes you believe you could do anything. And the Curry 11s are specifically designed with ultimate bounce, grip, and stability to allow everyone to do their thing. New generations of ball players are coming up, showing the basketball world that their old rules do not apply. The future is exciting, fast, positive, and hungry. This NBA season, rock with your favorite player, rep his shoes on and off the court. The Curry 11s are perfect for both the committed and casual ballers. The UA Warp Tech makes the shoe feel like it was designed for your feet, locked in no matter what you do on the court. Stop in your tracks with dual density UA flow cushioning and traction. An emergency brake you don't even notice. Steph's 11th signature shoe steps into the second decade of a sneaker career, pulling colorway inspiration from the wonders of a positive and modernized future on and off the court. Take these kicks with you when you leave the scrimmage and rep UA wherever you go. Do your thing. Change the game. Curry 11 Future Curry. Available now at currybrand.com. And we are brought to you by Game Time. You shouldn't have to worry when you buy tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, view from your seats, and their best price guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute tickets, find exclusive flash deals, and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball's coming back, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LIGHTYEARS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LIGHTYEARS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Whew.
Oh, Andy, I got something for you real quick.
Oh, brother.
Last story that got everybody's attention last week between the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors. Golden State trying to acquire LeBron James. And how far did this go? And how much did you entertain that thought?
It didn't go far at all. You know, I actually heard about it when everybody else heard about it. You know, obviously, Charles been in the league, Kenny been in the league, Shaq been in the league, and sometimes there's conversations happen behind closed doors that you don't even know about.
Okay.
And until, I guess, if it's real or not, then they'll bring it to you. But it never even got to me. So I heard it when the reports dropped as well.
What are we doing? What are we doing? He brought up Shaq and Chuck. Like, yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. Shut up. Honestly, LeBron's the best because he does it like straight faced. You know what I'm saying? He's not even smiling. He's not even chuckling.
Does he even know he's lying? Is he like so deep into his own like fiction that he doesn't even know he's lying anymore? That's where I'm at with it. It's just the man who's been the most like carefully curated person in the NBA our entire lives, who knows everything, who subtweets everything, who has his hands on everything, who's more than an athlete, who's his own GM. I don't know. Come on, man. Just like I'm coming around to your theory, which is just throwing it out there to see how people receive it before making a decision in the offseason.
Hey, let me ask you this. Do you think he came to the Warriors first with the idea, or did the Warriors come to him first?
It's a good question. I imagine this idea was formulated in a Draymond Green, LeBron James group chat.
Yep.
I'm gonna say Warriors. Warriors.
Okay.
I'm gonna say LeBron's always got his ears out there a little bit, but the Warriors, Draymond's like, oh, what if we got you? And he's like, maybe, like that sort of thing. That's kind of where I'm at with it. We'll call it 60-40.
65. Here's what I think. I think LeBron came up with it first, and I think once the Warriors got a crumb, I think the Warriors have been going all out. Like I think LeBron is kind of like, what if I did play with Steph? And Draymond's like, what? And then now Draymond's texting him every day about it, type of thing. You know what I mean?
Wiggins would love LA.
Kuminga, enjoy playing with Austin Reeves.
Huh?
I know. I say that I joke about that with my friends. I always tell them that Kuminga's gone next season, and they all get all salty about it because they love Kuminga, obviously. But I think the Warriors have been going all out ever since they like sniff that LeBron might be interested. But I don't know. Sam, you know how I feel about this. Would love LeBron to be on the Warriors. That is to me a championship. Is to have this guy come play for him. All right. Yeah. Speaking of.
The Warriors are stupid enough to give up Kuminga for LeBron. Let me tell you something. The Lakers will take that trade tomorrow. I tell you, when I saw that, I said, let me tell you something. If the Lakers could get Clay and Kuminga, they'd do that deal tomorrow. But who said we was giving up Clay or Kuminga? Well, you're going to have to. All right, so check this out. Everybody want to talk about the trade. Number one, the facts that came out aren't right. But when I talked to on the phone and we were discussing what we have to give up, I said if it's Kuminga, the answer's no. Okay, but that's the only thing they would take.
Good. Good teammate, Draymond. Good teammate, Dre.
Let me tell you something. The one thing the NBA does not want to see is Anthony Davis and Kuminga together for the next 10 years.
Oh, boy. Okay. All right.
AD and Kuminga, welcome to the 12 seed.
Yeah. Well, by the way, while Luka Doncic misses a wide open layup at the actual game that's happening, peak NBA.
I'm saying the Draymond Allcast was just a fun podcast with the game in the background. It was just like the best way to consume this right now. But
Draymond saying no Kuminga. All right.
Well, so I just want to throw this out there. As we're having fun with this conversation, I think it's worth calling out LeBron will be 40 next year. I don't know if you knew about that, but it's happening. Also, you're 62. Also worth calling out, he's a free agent in the offseason if he wants to be. So in the event that they actually were like, he's gone, blah, 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 like that sort of thing, like they're not getting shit for him. They're gonna get a second round pick.
Oh boy,
Trace Jackson Davis, and like I don't know, Wiggins maybe. and they're gonna take it because that's it. That's it.
Well,
right there.
wherever LeBron wants to go, he's gonna go, right? It's less so about what their Lakers are gonna get, and more so about where LeBron wants to go. So you're convincing me. I mean, you're convincing me. I half jokingly bring up Kuminga anyway. Look, Clay's not going anywhere. People keep bringing this shit up. He's not going anywhere. He's gonna be on the Warriors. But you think Wiggins, Trey Jackson Davis, throw in the Chris Paul expiring, maybe a first round pick, and just get
the fact he can walk limits it. What did James Harden get traded for? Like, I don't know. Robert Covington and Nick Batum's with spirings and like a fake pick. Like these things just, I don't think he's actually getting moved. I think this is all fun fodder, but like, this isn't, you're not trading for 27-year-old LeBron in his prime where you have to give him like everything.
Well, 27-year-old LeBron, yeah, you're giving everyone but Steph just for
pretty much
Steph and LeBron, and honestly, if you have prime Steph and LeBron, it's like prime Steph and KD, except better, maybe, probably, except actually better. That's probably why the Warriors are all in. They know that there's not much you have to give up. I mean, they've wanted to give up Wiggins for 2 bags of hot Cheetos and a Gatorade. So I'm sure, if that was the offer on the table, the Warriors are all in, which is probably why they're all in. They are probably all in. Draymond talking about this publicly is hilarious too.
Yeah, I have two thoughts on it, which is like, I don't really buy it's real, but the other part of me is like, I don't know, man. They're just like poking publicly just enough where I'm like, I don't know. It seems pretty unhappy in LA. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm not ruling it out.
At what point do the Lakers are they gonna get sick of it? I know the Trae Young stuff is blowing up, and they can trade 3 picks and 4 pick swaps for Trae Young, but it's like, is Trae Young worth that? Are they really gonna do a Trae Young AD?
Wow, Trae Wiggins and AD. Let's go.
Yeah,
Big 3.
And Kuminga, throwing Kuminga. Come on now. Look at that for the next 10 years. Yeah, I think it's the NBA probably. Here's another angle. If you were Adam Silver, I think you want it to happen. You want Steph and LeBron on the same team. You disagree? It's good for the league.
I think it's better if they're spread out because you have very few. Like LeBron draws eyes on his own. Steph draws eyes on his own. No one else draws eyes on their own. So you put them both on the same. I see your point, which is like, let the old guy, like, let it be the show, and that's not a bad thing. But also, I think spreading it out helps. So
you're concentrating the 2 greatest stars of the last decade into one team. So really, every single game is going to be the show, right? It's going to be like the 2016. It's going to be like the 73 win Warriors, where every game, or the Heatos, the first iteration, where every game is going to be a freaking like a football game, where everyone's going to be like Steph and LeBron, Steph. I don't know. I bet Adam Silver would like it, but I don't know. Adam Silver has more things to worry about, because I saw that they were putting together the AI Vision Pro court things this weekend, and that was their big announcement for the weekend, Sam, instead of fixing your freaking refs. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So the NBA has bigger things to worry about, I guess, than Steph and LeBron on the same team.
That's true. Before we get out of here, let's talk about one thing that's near and dear to my heart, and that's Brandon Pajemski.
Yes.
I thought he Friday night it feels like a long time ago at this point, but like kind of like a positive point there. Like, just in general, I don't know. The more I watch Podz, the more impressed I get. That's really my takeaway here. He won a shooting contest. You know, that's what happens when you got teammates like Steph. You learn how to shoot the ball. But did you know? I'm gonna pull this up right now because this is another cool stat for you. Did you know that my guy Podz is shooting 50% on step back threes on the season? It's a small sample. I'm not saying he's going to do it for eternity, but my guy could shoot off the bounce a little bit. Shoot definitely a little off the bounce. 20 for 40 off the dribble. I feel like the upside with him is a little underrated. That's where I'm at with this. I think when I watch the All-Star game and I see a bunch of dudes who take it unseriously, and I see Podz going around acting like it's the NBA Finals, I'm like, I want to bet on this guy because I think his talent's a little underrated, and he has that same it factor that Draymond and Steph have, where I'm like, oh, whatever his ceiling is, he's going to max it out. He's going to max it out for an eternity of time.
He did you see who his Mount Rushmore players are in the NBA?
Yeah, Brown nosing teammate of the year.
I think it's funny. I think it's endearing. I mean, he's young, right? And he says it. The funniest part is, by the way, for those you haven't seen it, his Mount Rushmore: Steph, Clay, Draymond, and CP3. Comedy.
I've got 4 faves.
The guy that's going to take his run, by the way, Chris Paul. The funniest part is that he says it with a straight face. Because I don't think he's joking. I think he's dead serious. I don't think we've ever seen Podziemski smile. And people say because his dad's from the military, so he's a military kid, which then makes a lot of sense. But back to your point about him fulfilling, I think all the skills and potential he has, I think it's pretty obvious. If you were to say Steph, Clay, and Draymond, did they kind of squeeze out every
Yes.
drop of right? So it's like sometimes you look at other players. I mean, I think you could say the same for Chris Paul. Honestly, we could throw them in there, but it's like, and you could say the same for LeBron. But you talk about a lot of these other superstars. But I'm talking about like
no, but I get what you're saying. Yeah.
I'm talking about like James Harden. You know what I'm saying? Like these guys are amazing, and it's like, did they ever squeeze out all
Anthony
the
Davis?
Oh, for sure, Anthony Davis, good one. Paul George, you know what I'm saying? It's like all these guys that it's hard. It's hard. Kevin Durant,
Andrew Wiggins.
Certainly Andrew Wiggins. But Podziemski seems like more of the Steph, Clay, and Draymond ilk, which
and let me just paint my case for why I think he has higher upside than we give credit for. I think it's too easy to get juiced off athleticism, and people just assume IQ can be taught. This kid is 20 and basically the smartest player on the team behind Steph Curry and Draymond, who are savants. Like, if this was a serious team, Andrew Wiggins would be the player telling people where to go on defense. Since they're not a serious team, it's Brandon Podziemski who's running the second unit defensively and telling everyone where to rotate. He's doing that as a 20-year-old rookie who's played like 40 games in the NBA. Why should we limit his upside? Like, it just reminds me of Draymond, where everyone's like, oh, he's so smart. He knows what he's doing, but like, he can't be that good. Look at him. He's like a little undersized. He can do a little of that. But then the second reason I'm super high on him is, I don't know, he's got touch. He just puts the ball in the basket at a high clip over and over again. I don't think he's ever hit a weight room. I don't think he has any clue what to do in general. In terms of like getting his body going, but like he can shoot. He can shoot the ball. He's got touch on his floater. Wait until he gets like 2 years of professional workout in him. I'm buying him over and over again. I know I've gone into this topic a million times, but I'll put it on record. I think he's going to be a better player than Kuminga over the next decade.
Oh, you took the Kuminga comp. No, well, it's not a Kuminga comp, and I wasn't really going to say this, but I was going to do a comparison between the two, where it's the touchy-feely stuff for Podziemski is off the charts, right? So if you were to grade it, I would say Podziemski is probably like an A at the touchy-feely stuff. Just straight size and athleticism, probably like a C. And then with Kuminga, it's the complete opposite, where the touchy-feely stuff is more of a C, but the athleticism and size is an A. So they're both like and I think that's fine. Sometimes it's fine, which is not to say that Kuminga isn't going to be a very good basketball player, because
I'm a big fan.
Yeah, because plenty of basketball players, you might not have A+ feel, but Kuminga can get to B feel, and he's always going to keep the athleticism probably till he's like 30, which is another freaking 8 years from now. So I think it is a good, maybe a good balance for those two guys. But that's the difference, is that Podziemski can play right now for this team because he has A+ touch feel. And that's why Kuminga has, and it's like unfairly almost even with Kuminga that he hasn't played much, but that's what Steve Kerr values, right? So fascinating that those two guys are probably going to be the two guys that lead this Warriors team, however far this Warriors team is going to go. It is going to be, because Steph can get them to the first round, I think, is we all agree. But for this team to, like, next year, can they be a title contender? Probably depends on those two guys. And I think
that's an interesting comment, because I think them being a title contender has everything to do with Wiggins to me. They basically decided when they won the 2022 title that they had a title team, and they decided to pay Wiggins and Poole. Poole goes without saying what happened. But Wiggins has been equally as inconsistent. It's not like he hasn't played well at times, but he hasn't played like 2022 playoff Wiggins. And that's kind of what they were counting on. They were counting on that guy to be consistent. He hasn't been consistent.
He's worth $1 million in value this season, Samuel. $1 million.
Yeah. And my whole thing is, if he was an everyday player, they're not in the play-in right now. They're not. Everyone wants to overcomplicate this with like Otto Porter and the margins. I don't know, man. If Andrew Wiggins played like he was Paul George, they're comfortably the 5 seed.
80% of Paul George.
Yeah,
Not asking for much.
And so to me, it's like, if he and he's played really well the last couple of weeks, he either gets his shit into shape and does that the rest of the way and they build upon it, or they're going to move him in the offseason for someone else. And I think that's kind of what it comes down to. Like, I think he's the biggest, and money is a factor. Like, as much as you and I want to talk about Kuminga and Podz, and like, it's fair, those two guys make a combined $8 to $9 million. Combined, they make less than
true.
GP2.
Yeah.
The guys who get paid are the ones who matter.
Yeah, I mean,
or at least that's like where it starts with roster building.
I mean, that's, and then you know, that's why LeBron's coming through. That's why, I mean,
like,
honestly,
I'll feel a lot better about both of them if LeBron's and Wiggins play.
No, that's why they're looking at LeBron. I mean, they would look at LeBron regardless, but let's look at the Harrison Barnes. Like, they were looking to upgrade from Harrison Barnes during the 7-3 win season, because they looked at the roster and they knew, like, hey, we could get someone better. We could get one of the greatest players of all time. And this is a way different version of that, because LeBron's old as shit, but they're looking at Wiggins' roster slot and they're like, well, why can't we just upgrade that to LeBron? We'll just go with that. Right. And I don't know, like you said, they probably don't have to give up any of Kuminga or Podz. So if they upgrade to LeBron,
if it gets to that in the offseason, yeah. And I mean, we kind of dance around it. We don't talk about it enough, but like, the new cap is a real thing. Guys who get paid matter more now. You can't just like be like, all right, we gave him too much money, but we can get around it. Not really a thing anymore. So I don't know. I think we should leave it there. I think we should we're going to get into second half preview on the next episode. Love all you. Appreciate everyone who listened in.